to roll. So Kairos Junction for map number 1. And we'll be in game on this momentarily for some Zerg vs Protoss action. Just trying to switch the matchups up a little bit. And just kind of keeping it interesting. Again, Zombie Grub's over on Gumiho Deer as well. So just trying to keep the English streams separate as well. As we have got to the top left-hand side, the pink Protoss player. This, my friends, is Zest. Up against the blue Zerg in the bottom right, Solar. Okay, so game 1 of this getting underway as we'll be having this Overlord from Solar starting to move out in towards the middle of the map here. Solar moving in towards the middle, the gateway on the way up from Zest. And we do just get this going for the moment. Hatchery dropping down on the natural expansion as well, as the probe does actually come through. Just going to be seeing what's going on in the natural expansion. So probe coming in, looking to see what's happening. And a couple of drones from Solar are about to finish up. Extractor will drop down from Solar, and again, just going to be seeing that drone coming through to chase down that probe. So probe taking a little bit of damage. The gas in the pool finishing up here from Solar as well. The hatchery on the natural. And all this looking pretty good at the moment. I like it. I like it. Good stuff so far. We'll see that Cybernetics core coming down on the natural as well. So just getting that wall off set up as you always do against the Zerg. Oh, sorry, I missed the subscription as well. Apologies, I missed this. I'm not used to not having sub alerts on. We're not allowed them for IEM Qualifiers. Tarantius with the Twitch Prime sub. Thank you so much for subscribing. Appreciate it, dude. Thank you so much. Any info online for the Wardy turning? Yeah, sure. Give me a sec and I'll just make you the Team Liquid thread. There you go. Awesome. Alright, so getting into this first game, we saw a little bit of Zola's ZVP earlier against, we saw him play Stats, we saw him play Classic. And I would say a very similar setup in each of those games. Obviously he mixed in that Baneling burst against Stats. But against Classic he kind of just died to that aggressive style, whether he tried to go into mutas or whether he tried to go in towards like Roach Hydra drops. He just died to a big old push, so Solar not exactly having the best of starts there before. As we do have the Adept continue shade down to the bottom right hand corner. So Zest shading down to the bottom right side. If we see the Zergling is going to take a little bit of damage there, and the third hatch going to be finishing shortly too. Second Adept also going to be finishing, as we have the Stalker still being produced to the front. So probably with the Stalker on the way out, going to bypass the Phoenix right away. Instead we'll just get an Oracle here from Zest, I'd imagine. So Stalker about to pop in a moment or two. Again, a few Zerglings on the way out from Solar. A couple of Queens on the way up. And we do see that link speed going to be completing very shortly as well. Two Adepts move out into the middle of the Lings. Wanting to try and get onto those Adepts there, but the Adepts shading back already. So that's being very careful of those. Because there is the Stalker to kill off the Overlord. And again, just the Oracle initially out of the Stargate. Overlord will see that though, will get to the back and he knows that that tech is over there, and he just, I think, sees the Stargate in the last second. Perfect, so he just gets to see that as the Lings make a play for the front, but boom. Wall off is completed, Stalker in the wall, Adepts behind it. You're not breaking through this position as Solar with those Zerglings, so not much to be done now as Oracle number 2 will get produced, and we'll see what Zest can do with the double Oracle play in these early stages of the PvZ. In general, I feel like Oracles today across all the matchups and all the players have been a little bit kind of lackluster. They feel as though they've been falling apart pretty quickly a lot of the time. As we are going to see that Oracle moving in towards the main base. Queen turns the Oracle away, and the two Queens from the natural expansion wanting to push the Oracle away as well. The works facility starting up from Zest. The Twilight Council is about halfway done too, so just a very standard Zest-based follow-up. The Archon drop. Are you surprised? It's Zest. He loves his Archon drop. If you had to equivalent a Archon drop with a player, it probably would be Zest, even though, such a standard build. Zest will do it way, while some players will change it up, of course, Zest will just do it. And he even did the Archon drops when they kind of died out of fashion for a little while as well in the PvZs, so We're going to see those two oracles through the center. A few Zerglings pulling away down towards the bottom side. A few more creep teamers setting up as well. And again, those oracles to the right. Setting up to go. Phoenix. Well, the two oracles getting pushed away. Spawn and the Queen are good. The Roach and the Lair coming up as well. I mean, again, preparation for the Archon drop, which is kind of expected right now. The Temple Archives completed. And there's the 4-high Temple warping in. The Oracle's nearby to protect those in case Zerglings jump onto it. And again, just going to be seeing those Zerglings continue to pour on out at the moment. Archon drops down, picks up a Zergling. And as you see, 6 Roaches in production. At this stage, Solar just wants to get up a very sturdy force against these Archons. The Roaches definitely do that. Makes it a little bit more difficult for them to stick around and deal damage. And the Queens, good micro there actually. The Lings catching the Archons as well, so they couldn't really chase down the Queens. That was very nicely done. Present with a couple of Archons still there. Nexus finishing up on the third base. And we are going to be seeing the single Zerg up to the top side. Moving around a little bit as well. Lings continuing back over towards the left. And as a DC +1 attack charge. Extra gateways all on the way down. So Zest still setting this up now. And as we're going to be seeing the main base Oracles dropping down a Revelation 2. Just dropping that Revelation down as we still have the Zerglings going to be running around. Going to be heading up towards the natural as well. Trying to see what else is going in. He's pushed away to the side as the Stalker gonna try and be jumped on by those few Zerglings. And we're getting some really bad Korean server lag here, guys. Like, it's one of those games that's a little bit unlucky. It happens. We've talked about it before, but we do get this Korean server lag just randomly in some games, and then in other games it's completely fine. This game, unfortunately, has been a little bit brutal for us as we do see a Roach at the front taken down. Quick update on the other score. Gumiho up 1-0 against Dia in the other matchup going on right now in the same round of the lower bracket. So that's going to get a little bit of a push coming through right now across the right side. I mean, Solo's decided to go in towards Swarm Hosts here. They're going to be popping up maybe just in time to defend this first attack. Does he have enough to actually make this work? Because the Swarm Hosts are a bit disjointed, of course. That doesn't work well for him, and he has to gather them together to really be effective initially. First force still dropping down. A few Locusts will come in. Zest has the Prism here to target down, to warp in and to kind of reinforce this a little bit. And the first few Locusts just aren't really doing anything at all. And Solar just lives the game. He just knows that it's not going to work. While he has a good army supply still. The bottom right hand side of the map. Up a game, our pink Protoss looking good and looking alive. This is Zest. Been enjoying it so far from him. And it's actually, I think, the first game of Zest we saw today so far as well. As we have to the top left hand side, the blue Zerg player from TSG. This is Solar. Now, Solo again has definitely looked like he's struggled a bit against Pros today. Is this the point now where he's 0-1 down on the verge of elimination? Is this the point where he says, you know what? Let's just drop the Bane Nest again. Let's go for that Bane Burst. It's possible. It's not the map he did it on before. Oh, is it? I actually think it might be. I think he did do on Port Alexander before. So perhaps Bane Burst once again here from Solar. Like we saw earlier, obviously remains to be seen at the moment. As the probe comes up in towards the main, and we'll have a little bit of a scat around there. Extractor coming down, the spawning pool finishing up behind the mineral line as well. So all of that getting going as this probe going to pop out, come around the side, and get back to mining in just a quick moment or so. Again, Nexus drops down from Zest on the natural expansion as well, going to throw down that Cybernetics core in the front as well. Another drone popping out. Again, just getting this set up and ready to go into game 2. Solar down a map. As you see the Nexus, the Cybercore, all of this getting going, the double hatchery dropping in. And that probe still just running away from that drone, which is giving a bit of chase. Come back to me, he says, as that probe continues to pull away. Well, in terms of builds that we're expecting, honestly, I'd be very surprised to see Zest do anything other than his Stargate, the Oracle Phoenix, and obviously moving in towards the, moving in towards the next stage of it from there, right? I'd be very surprised if we saw anything like that. Unless we are going to be seeing the third hatches down. Just over halfway done. Twilight Council gets started here from Zest over in the main. And we do see that Stalker just about halfway done. Warp Gate is starting up. That Overlord coming out and the Link Speed coming up as well. So Link Speed about halfway done. You see the Adept of Zest going to be shading through up in towards the main base. But not really much to commit to overall. Robot Facility now dropping down from Zest in the main too. So he actually, I guess, does bypass the Stargate, but the follow-up is the same idea. It's going to be a Dark Shrine probably, and going in towards those DT drops. Usually this goes a bit differently than the regular Archon drop. You usually get the double prism, so you can attack in 2 different places. Obviously the DTs alone can get quite a bit done sometimes as well, so looking out for that as we do see drones just mining away on this main. A Zergling coming through the center of the map now as well, looking to see what they can get, looking to see what information it can pick up on in terms of maybe what Zest is up to. Obviously the fact that Solar still has this Overlord alive is a pretty good indicator that it's not been a Stargate opening. Otherwise there would have at the very least been an Oracle coming over for high ground vision, so the Stalker could kill it. If not, the Phoenix just coming over on its own to kill it. So Solar should be able to know what's up, and because of that gets the Land Rotron maybe just a little bit faster than before, just to make sure again those roaches are up in plenty of time to defend against that. Again, those extra gateways still coming in. The Warp Prism from Zest is going to be moving out in towards the center of the map. So Warp Prism of Zest moving out in towards the middle. And ready to warp in those first few DTs. Now with the layer up, you don't need Spore Crawlers, but you do need the Overseers in position. Otherwise those DTs can cause chaos. And there's Prism number 2, like mentioned. So you can get DTs in multiple locations. The Archon drops in a couple different locations as well. As the Overseer starts to morph in. Now it's going to be right on top of that third base. So these first DTs shouldn't do much, although they should be able to maybe able to do some kind of very quick damage here. Oh, nice play. Cancels the creep tumor even Solar so that he can pull it back, and then he can respread it pretty much instantly once again. So Zest is forced to just morph in Archons right away. Tell you what though, if there are DTs in the main as well, one Overseer doesn't quite cut it. Now there is Overseer 2, but that's coming up on this side of the map, so if he gets DTs into the main base, there is some possibility to deal some damage there. I mean, the Spore Crawler comes up on the edge, but if that goes down, well then this Overseer has to kind of pull away elsewhere, and then you could maybe warp more DTs on in this space as well. He's actually going to target the Overseer. Oh my god. Overseer gets transfused. Again, you can see Zest's plan. If you kill that Overseer, he knows this probably goes quite well for him. 2 DTs warped in. Again, you can probably even just run past the Spore Crawler and just go for drones. I mean, drone kills are damage that's done right away. As this Prism gets low, but its 4 workers killed, and he'll just pull away. He won't chase the workers. Instead, he will fight the Spore, which unburrows, meaning that those DTs will be able to run around undetected for a moment. Nice lift up on the Prism in the end. Pulls them back away through the top side, and as he gets them dropped off over here, we'll be able to morph back in to another Archon or so. So again, morphing in those Archons. So that looks like this Prism is coming back around to maybe go and, well, first of all, we'll clean up this Zergling, but perhaps join up with this Prism even, and maybe we see all the Archons in the same place. Behind it, charges on the way, the Immortal production begins. The Forge for the other upgrades as the Overseer sees absolutely everything Solar, moving through the main base and getting a full scout as to what is going on right from the start of this. Stalker continue to push away through that Overseer. So Overseer taking some damage, and again just going to be seeing these 2 Warp Prisms moving around. Archon's going to load back into the main now, and 4 Archons together, they deal a lot of damage very quickly. Spores though, something you have to be cautious of. Prisms do take a bit of damage, and Roach is obviously forcing those Archons away. So, Prism's coming back through the top side. As you see, the Stalker will pick off the Overseer. Sling Speed, Roach, Sling Speed plus Groove Spines plus 1 missiles. And the Hydra is on the way up, but with the Ling Speed, maybe looking to switch it in towards Lingbane Hydra eventually. You gotta wonder otherwise why would you want to start adding Lings into this. Obviously, if you play Lingbane Hydra, then that kind of explains it, although it's a lot of roaches still. So he just wants to mix some roaches into this composition in general, as the third Nexus is about to finish. I still like what Zest has done so far, though. I feel like, yes, it wasn't tons of damage, but it's very efficient damage. A few drones here, he's forced units out at the right times, he's been expanding behind it, while also just keeping, again, Solo away from that heavy drone count that he'd like to be in. As we are going to be seeing the 2 Archon drops heading back to the main. I mean, look how out of position Solar is to deal with these Archon drops this time. Again, the Spore Claw is a massive annoyance. I feel like, yeah, just get rid of that, please, because the Spore Claw is one of the big things that's continually stopped these prisoners from diving deep. Now we see units going back up in towards the main, and again, the prisoners can just load up, and you should just be able to get out of here. Takes a few more shots, but again, it pulls the entire army back into the main. Now, at what point as Solar do you just start to realize, like, you just can't keep doing that, because it gets really costly. Changeling expires in the natural. Tell you what, we are missing a Temple Archives and maybe some Storm to help with these higher Hydra counts that are starting to build up, though. Looks like Zest might pull his Archons back home for once this time. And Solar, 61 drones. Looks like he just wants to end this, man. He just wants to go push in. That's what the Ling speed's for, just so you can reinforce with Lings. Never mind morphing in Banes or anything. I mean, it makes sense as well, because obviously with that many Roaches, it was never looking like it would do much. I mean, a few changes in the front. Uses the charge on it. Has to be careful about that. Needs to warp it on the natural expansion to really just stop those Roaches from getting in. Oh, a few Zealots in the force field to stop some Roaches there as well. Soul will try and come in from the top side too, but so far Zest with some good moves. Pick up some good damage. Zealots right in the front line once again. Another Roach, another Hydra picked off here. Archon still doing some good shots. And pressing forwards at the moment. We are going to be seeing, well, a couple of corrosive bars are good, but in general Zest's army I think is way too good. Some extra Zealots will warp in to help with those Roaches. And again, another few corrosive bars, the damaged Archons being brought back. Could maybe do with a few Zealots in front of this here. Misses that Immortal pickup. He's actually having a couple of DTs going huge there for a moment or two as well, but they then morph into the Archon. And Zest makes a very impressive one-sided hold, I would say. 8.5 to 3.1k resources lost tells the story of how that fight went. Hugely effective from Zest. He didn't let the multi-prong affect him at all. He dealt with that very well. Good warpins. Didn't overcommit his army there though either, because he was back to the top side to deal with the main force of Solar. And while he was able to do all of that, he was able to just put himself into this prime position where he kept a good amount of his Immortals alive, Archons alive, and that gives him so much power in the upcoming army. Now that +2 is finished, he's going to get Storm as well though. In general, I mean, again, Zest just puts himself in a fantastic spot, and at this stage, it gets very difficult to end this game. As Solar, as we see a few drones going down, a couple Archons over the left side here. Oop! One of them goes wandering towards those Hydras for some reason and will fall. Slight shame, not the end of the world though. Still got 7 drones, and you gotta realize that that is, again, a good amount of value. And he has enough Archons and Immortals at home as well, so he's not in trouble of dying to a counterattack. It's not the early game anymore, where if you lose an Archon, it's like, oh my god, that's a huge unit you've lost early. It's not like that at all anymore. It's very easily replaceable in comparison to earlier. And I mean, the Storm's about to be up as well. This army of Solar honestly looks absolutely doomed against what Zest has at the moment. The first Storm comes down, and already the Immortals are chunking through the front line of Roaches. The Hydras are not having a very good day, and that's GG. Zest will take the 2-0 and will advance to play the winner of Gumi.